Today's lesson is inverse trigonometric functions. So we've been solving for sides. Now we are going to solve for the angles. Okay, so I'm still using my three trigonometric functions for sine, cosine, and tangent. And I remember those definitions by the acronym, the mnemonic SOHCAHTOA. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, I have to start by labeling the reference angle, and the reference angle is one of the two acute angles, and it's never the right angle. Okay, so inverse functions undo each other. So sides and angles are inverses of each other's in triangles. Okay, so what are inverses that we're already familiar with? So let's talk about algebra inverses. So the inverse of adding is subtracting. The inverse of subtracting is adding. Inverse of multiplying is dividing. Oops. Inverse of dividing is multiplying. The inverse of squared is square root. Okay, so I'm going to take the square root. So the inverse of square root is squaring. Okay, so in geometry, let's take a look at our triangle. Our sides are across from our angles. So angle A and side A are across from each other. Angle B and side B. And angle C and side C. Angles are vertices, are points, are capital letters. Sides are lowercase letters. So when I want to show how I'm solving, so right now we've been solving for one of the three sides. So it's in the fraction as the numerator or the denominator. So now we are going to solve for the angle here. So to write solving for the angle, to say the inverse, I write this, so solving for this variable, I say sine inverse of the two sides. So this is the opposite over the hypotenuse, the opposite side from side A. Okay. If I want to find angle A for the cosine of angle A, this would be cosine inverse of my sides, B divided by C, and tangent. So tangent inverse of A divided by B. Okay, so if I have just the word sine, cosine, or tangent, that means I am finding a side. If I see this little -1 raised up here, that means I'm trying to find an angle. So it doesn't represent a power thing. It's just a way to show that I am looking for the angle, and I say inverse with that. All right, so let's do some examples. So let's find, so when I'm talking about trig, I need to make sure that my calculator is always in degree mode. Right now we're working in degrees. So right now, so if I wanted to find angle A, and I'm going to round to tenths. So tenths is 1 decimal place. My calculator, I'd be in degrees, so solving for the angle. This is going to be the measure of angle A is the tangent inverse of 3 divided by 4. So to get tangent inverse, I hit second. To get this, I get second and then tangent. And then you'll see the tangent inverse symbol on the calculator. So when I do that, I get 36.9 degrees. Okay. So I can find the inverse of a fraction or a decimal. So if I want to find angle B, so the measure of angle B is going to be sine inverse of 0.87. I put this in my calculator, I get 60.5 degrees. If I want to find angle C, so the measure of angle C equals cosine inverse of 15 divided by 100, and I get 81.4 degrees. Okay, can you pause the video, and can you do 4, 5, and 6? How did you do? So tangent of G, so this would be the measure of angle G equals tangent inverse of 0.43, and I get 23.3 degrees. Okay, to solve for angle H, so the measure of angle H equals sine inverse of 17 divided by 25. So I get 42.8 degrees. And solving for angle K, measure of angle K equals cosine inverse of 0.94. And I get 19.9 degrees. Okay, so let's find an angle with a triangle. Okay, so I'm going to call the reference angle the angle that I'm trying to find here. So with this being my reference angle, I'm going to label my two sides. So this is going to be the opposite side and the adjacent side. I'm not using the hypotenuse, so I'm not worried about it. So since I have opposite and adjacent, I know I'm going to use tangent because the two sides I have are opposite and adjacent. So I'm going to say the tangent of x equals opposite over adjacent. So opposite is 4 and adjacent is 8.2. So now I'm solving for x. So the measure of angle x equals tangent inverse of 4 divided by 8.2. So again, I'm going to type in my calculator second and tangent, and that's how I'm going to get tangent inverse. And my angle is going to be 26.0 degrees. Can I have you try number 8? So the angle, that's the reference angle, is the angle I'm trying to find. So if I label the sides that I have, this is the adjacent side, and this is the hypotenuse. So I know I need to use cosine because I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to say the cosine of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 31 divided by 36. So to find x, I'm going to say the measure of angle x equals cosine inverse of 31 divided by 36. And again, to get this, I'm going to type in second and cosine. And rounding to tenths, I get 30.6 degrees. Okay, that's it.